welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where look, we're not doing Sudoku today. We've got a 7x7 grid, and this puzzle is called Chillomino, and it's by ZZW, and this is a debut on the channel for ZZW. And this, it's some sort of fillomino variant. Sorry, I just thought I heard a wasp. I didn't. It's fine. It's some sort of fillomino variant. I had a quick read of the rules. They didn't really percolate into my brain, but I remember thinking there's nothing too strange here. So, and this is a hugely popular puzzle that we've had recommended a couple of times. The testers, actually, one of the testers did find it very hard, but the other tester said no, smooth and very beautiful. So hopefully it will be good to go, and I'll read you the rules in a moment or two's time. Got a few things though to tell you about before we kick off today. I'll start with Patreon, where we've got two things at the moment that are sort of hot to trot. We've got DiMono's November monthly reward. That's the competition, which is Mavericks just flying by. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's a Sudoku hunt in the form of a story, and to access the later bits of the story you have to solve the puzzles, and loads of you have been enjoying that and entering your answers on the Google form, which is a new way that you can send the answer in if you want to be in with a chance of winning the competition. Now, when you enter your answer, it doesn't matter whether you include the quotation marks or not. We have had some questions about that. Both will be marked correct, so worry not. The other thing that is over on Patreon as an exclusive there, at least for another 2 or 3 days, is my solve of Crux by Dyer, which is a very hard and breathtakingly brilliant puzzle. And it took me 2 hours and 42 minutes to solve it. So we didn't think that you would be interested in a Sudoku video that long, but it seems there is some appetite for it. So it is going to come up, appear on the main channel in a few days' time. But if you can't wait to watch a Lord of the Rings edition of CTC, then do check that out. What's that saying to me? No, that's not. That's a WhatsApp message that I will not read. Now, what else do I need to tell you about? Two things. Firstly, I'm going to tease a brand new Kickstarter. So we have a new Kickstarter that's going to launch in a few days' time. I don't know what I can tell you about it. I will tell you it's related to Fog-Of-War. And I hope that piques your interest. I will have more on that in the coming days. Next, lots of you have been asking us over the past few months whether we are planning to stream again. We've had a bit of a hiatus over the summer, but now we're heading into the cold winter months. We thought it would be very nice to spend a bit of quality live time with anyone who wants to watch. And we've had a recommendation to try this game, which is called Chants of Sennaar. And apparently you have to decipher ancient languages in it. And I mentioned this to Mark, and Mark was very keen. I think he's found quite a lot of the computer games that we've solved a bit mysterious, but he thinks that his linguistics degree will come in handy on this one. So you can see it's got amazing reviews. So this is a game we are planning to stream soon. We'll agree a date, and then we'll schedule. Is it you schedule a live broadcast or something on YouTube? So if you want to be notified about that, hit the subscribe button, or I think you might have to hit the bell icon. I'm not sure. Hit something and it might work. There we go. Now, the only other thing to say is I've got a couple of announcements to make today. I'm going to start off by I've got two really amazing announcements. I'll start with Nick, who's turned 23 today, and I think Nick is over in Louisiana. And basically, Nick wrote us a long email and is graduating, I think, on the 16th of December. So many congratulations, Nick, on achieving that fine feat. And thank you very much to the invite to participate in a Louisianan escape room called 13 Gate Escape. I'd love to. If I was ever in Louisiana, I've never done an escape room. At the time I sort of started to think, I'd really like to do an escape room. The pandemic hit, and then I haven't done one since. Yeah, but I think I would very much enjoy them, but I haven't done one yet. So Nick, thank you for that invite, and thank you for your email. We really did appreciate it, and yeah, congrats on the birthday. I hope you have a large slice of chocolate cake. And then we also had an absolutely amazing email from Sabrina in Rome, and it was really an email dedicated to Austin, who's in Kansas City, and really about their friendship, which started on the 7th of November. And they found each other on the Discord server and became just amazing friends very quickly. Sabrina recounted an episode where she'd had a nightmare and couldn't sleep, and she sent a Discord message to Austin, who sent her a sort of lullaby to help her go back to sleep in return. I mean, it's really it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story. I mean, we always talk about the Discord server about being full of, positive people who have found each other through puzzles. And, well, I mean, Austin and Sabrina are now more than friends. And I know Sabrina is planning a trip to the US very soon. And the two of them are very much in love. And it's just fantastic. Sudoku has brought two people on the opposite side of the world together. And yeah, Sabrina wanted to shout out this anniversary, and with good reason. So thank you very much for the email, Sabrina. Astonishing. You were saying it, well, obviously it was in your second language. It was incredibly well written. And to the two of you, hearty congratulations. Now, let's have a look at Chillomino by ZZW. And I will read you the rules of the puzzle. What we have got is to divide the grid into regions of orthogonally connected cells such that regions of the same size don't share an edge. Enter into each cell a number equal to the size of its region. So let's just talk about that. What that means. That means that we've got to parcel the grid up into orthogonally connected regions, like something like this would work. Now you can see this region has 4 cells in it, so we would write 4 in there. This region has 5 cells in it, so we'd write 5 cells there. Now, could we, for example, make a region like that, which is also, you can see, of size 4? No, because these two regions of size 4 now, the red region and the purple region, share an edge. And that is against the rules of the puzzle. So we must not do that. And I think, well, that's the start of the rules. So that's basic fillomino rules. Now, numbers within cages cannot repeat. So we've got a whole load of cages in the grid, and we mustn't repeat digits in cages. If 2 cages are adjacent, their sums must be adjacent too. In other words, if 2 cages share an edge, the sum of the numbers in one cage must have a difference of exactly 1 with the sum of the numbers in the other cage. So, if these squares added up to 10, let's just make them add up to 10, 2, 3, 5, these would add up to either 9 or 11, I suppose, is how I read that. I hope that's correct. I hope I'm not misleading anybody. In fact, hang on, I better not say what I've just thought of there, because that seems like it might be relevant to the solve. But yes, this is already actually intriguing me. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Okay, so now I can talk about what I was just thinking. This probably has to be quite a big digit, doesn't it? Because the minimum those squares would be 1, 2, and 3. So this cage adds up to at least 6, which means this is at least 5. Okay, it's not that dramatic. Hang on, all the digits do have to. Yes, okay. So that I know what that cell is. It's straight away. That's where I'm going to go first. I'm going to go to the bottom left-hand corner and write in a digit. Yeah, that must be a 1, mustn't it? Because we're told that every digit in a cage is different. In other words, within this U pentomino region here, or U pentomino cage, I should say, within this U pentomino cage, every cell in this cage is part of a different region. Yeah, this is really interesting, actually. Sorry, I'm now thinking, is the correct strategy with this puzzle to immediately draw fillomino borders? Let's pick a colour for a border. Should we use black today or should we use red? Let's use red. Because surely I can immediately do this. Every single cage, because cages cannot contain a repeated digit, we must immediately be able to, within a cage, separate. You know, this cell cannot be in the same region as this cell. They would contain the same number. So I think we can immediately get a start on the puzzle that way. And, well, the corollary of that is that this is in an isolated area of size 1. So that is a 1. Whoopsie. I do like to do the border as well. And I'm going to give it a colour. We'll make it red. It seems like it wants to be red, doesn't it? Now, the interesting thing I can see about that is, let's look at this cell now. Yes, this is great. What is this cell? Well, this cell can't be a size 1 region, because it would be adjacent to another size 1 region, and it would repeat the 1 in this U pentomino. So it's at least a 2, which means it goes out to there, at least. But once it gets here, it can't go any further. Because to go any further, it would either have to cross into this cell, which we've got a red line delineating for the different numbers region, or it would have to go back into its own region. So if this was, say, a 3, that would have to be a 3, and it would repeat in the U pentomino. So this is a 2. I quite like this so far. This is clever. It's a very strange... I've never seen killer Sudoku, I don't think, or killer Sudoku type restrictions in a fillomino. So, what does that mean? So that means these squares are all at least equal to 3. And they all have to grow a little bit, don't they? So that one has to grow a little bit. That one, I'll give this one the moniker of purple. This one has to grow a little bit, make that yellow. So we can delineate the boundary there. Okay, don't really know what to do now. How do we make more progress than this? We know that this cage overall must add up to at least 15, which is the triangular number for 5. So if we put 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 into this cage, which is the very least we could put in, the cage would add up to 15. Therefore, we know that this cage and this cage add up to a minimum of 14. That's probably important for some reason. Oh, hang on, no, this is broken now. I've done something wrong. I'm sorry. I've done something wrong. What have I got wrong there? No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. It's fillomino. It's not Sudoku, Simon. Okay. Right. Okay, what I was thinking then is that this cage is at least 15. This cage is therefore at least 14. And this cage, which is a 1-cell cage, is therefore got a minimum value of 13. But it can have a value of 13 because this is fillomino. Yes, okay, and that is why I just checked there. I'd looked over at the wording of the instructions there. Numbers within cages. Now that is deliberate. That is deliberate. We've got into trouble on the channel before because we've sometimes referred to fillomino regions as having digits in cages. Now, if this said every caged cell must, or every cell must be filled with a digit, that would imply that you couldn't have a double-digit fillomino-sized region. But it doesn't say that here. It just says numbers. So I think that this is an absurdly large fillomino region. Oh, this is right. Hang on. This is very interesting. This is very interesting because now I want to say I can draw two boundaries like that, surely. Because whatever the size of this is, I need to give it a colour. Let's. Thing is, I don't know if it joins to purple yet. Let me just think about that. So I'm just going to make it grey, but it might be purple as well. But this. Oh no, hang on. How could it possibly be? No, it can't be purple. Right. Okay, so what I'm now starting to appreciate is that this rule set is really interesting because, bear with me, and don't make jokes about meeting me at parties. Yes, I know, many people in the past have met me at parties and gone to sleep. I am perhaps not the most interesting person to meet at a party, but there are things I find interesting. And one thing is that this 13 cage, if it did bump into this Chillomino cage here, let's say we did that, then the rule about this cage being one different from this cage couldn't be met because these two digits are different. So they're going to add up. If this was a 1-2 pair, they would add up to at least 3, and that would mean that this cage has a total that's 3 higher than this cage. So I don't think this grey cage can go into here. Now let me extrapolate from that and talk about why purple and grey can't be the same. Because if purple, well, if these were the same, then the minimum difference between purple and grey, well, these would be the same. So we can say that the difference between the total value of the U pentomino and this square would be the size of those 4 cells, and the minimum these could be would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 10, isn't it? So there is a 10 difference between this U pentomino, at least, and this cell. But they are linked by just one cage, because the U pentomino goes through this, so it could be 1 lower. So this can be a maximum of 2 lower than this, and yet it needs to be 10 lower, at least. So you can't do it. It's impossible. So purple and grey are not the same. And what does that mean? Don't know yet. I'm thinking about it. Okay, well, one thing it means is that purple, we know purple is at least a 3. It can't be a 1 or a 2, or it would repeat in the U pentomino. And we know it's different from grey, and we know it's different from blue. So it must take that square, because it's sort of corralled, isn't it, into this area of the grid here. So it could take that one, but then it would have to still take that one. So now, well, now I want to look at this square, don't I? Yeah, I think this puzzle is all about, not all about, but mainly about comparing what's in a cage with what's in another cage. That's the most fatuous thing I've ever said in my life. Apologies. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you look at this Chillomino, you can see that this Chillomino has to have a total that is 1 different from the total of this U pentomino. They definitely share an edge in at least 2 places, 3 places. Yet, purple is in both cages. Green is in both cages. So this square must be exactly 1 different from the sum of blue, yellow, and red. Right, so this square is not yellow. Because if this was yellow, the difference between this triomino, which would be purple, green, yellow, and this eupentomino, which would be purple, green, yellow, red and blue, couldn't only be one, because red and blue do not only add up to one, they add up to something else. So this is a new colour, and it therefore deserves to be awarded the mantle of... These are the questions that I wrestle with. I'm going to make it orange, but I'm not terribly pleased about that. I think what I might do is swap... I might swap purple for orange, and then make this purple. So that's sort of, for some reason, that feels better to me. Right, and now purple... Purple, we know, it has some relationship to blue, red, and yellow, doesn't it? It's got to be within one of those three. And they're at least... If this was 1, 3, 4, that's the minimum. So it's at least... So these add up to at least 8. So this is at least 7. I'm just going to make a little note of that. That's at least 7. And therefore it's got to grow. So it's got to go there. This yellow is at least 3. So it's got to grow. And this is at least 7. So it's got to grow again. Can't go there because of our red lineage. Right. So now, this is very clever, this puzzle. It's very clever. I really, really like it. This square can't be orange, can it? Because if it was orange, this cage would add up to purple plus orange. But this cage, with which it borders, adds up to purple-orange, which is the same as this cage, plus 2. So these are not within one of each other. So that is not orange, and therefore that is forced. That is forced. But orange is at least 3. So orange has to go up there, and that is orange. Finished. So orange is 3 by a process of complete and utter bewildering nonsenses. Now, this is at least... Oh, well, this is now... Right, these are both at least 4 now. These are the minimum of 4, so that has to go in there. Right, let's just check. What's that done to this one? It made it look like a sort of Neapolitan ice cream, strawberry and vanilla flavoured. Let's draw some reds along the bottom. Let's draw some reds along there. Actually, I'm now thinking, should I have done... I now rather wish my red line was a black line, but I don't think... I think it's too much... It's too much of a inconvenience to convert it all now. Okay, so that's got to go up there, because we know this is at least a 4. We know this is at least a 4, so it hits here. That creates Neapolitan ice cream, which shares a border with this one. And the commonality is purple. So this digit... This digit must be 1 different from yellow. Which I sort of feel that's telling me something. Yeah, okay, hang on. Where does this one grow? We said this one couldn't bump into the triomino. Because if this goes up, the minimum, well, we can see that this cage and this cage can't be 1 apart. There's a 3 in here that's not in here. So that's a legitimate red line, and now this has to go there. So this is a 13, and that's... Oh, we see. Okay, all right. So that's a 1. It's absolutely brilliant. This square is a 1 because this cage and this cage must have a difference of 1, and the only way of achieving that is by writing 1 into that square. Now, 1 was a red digit down in the bottom left, so we'll make it red again. So now the question must be, is this grey? And I don't know the answer to that. If this is grey, the other thing is that grey, we don't know. It could be bigger than 13. We just know it's at least 13. Oh, hang on, I'm getting confused now. I'm sorry about this. Let me just think about this. This is at least 15. This... Right, why have I got 7 in here? How did I get to that number? Because now I'm doing this maths again. I think this is 9 at least. That might be wrong, but as I'm just going to rethink this cell. Because the U-pentomino is at least 15. I've now got 5 only in this one. And this must be one different from at least 15. So this is at least 9. I don't know why I got 7 in there. Maybe I hadn't got the 3 in there or something. I don't know. So this is at least 9. So this is at least 4. Ah. Well, that's at least 4, but it may well be the same as 13, which is certainly at least 4. So why is this 13 or not 13 is the question I want to think about. Oh. Right, no, this is very clear, sorry. Okay, so this cage adds up to at least 14. And this cage adds up to some number. But if we commonize grey into this cage, this purple and this cell have to be 1 apart. But we know purple is at least 9. So that's just not going to be true. So that's not grey. So that's not grey. So grey has to get another cell from here. And a lot more cells besides. Actually, look, that allows us to draw that in. Now, can this be a 1? Don't know. Possibly. If it's not a 1, it's obviously got to grow up the grid. That we can draw that line in. Ah, so now, right, now I'm going to come back to this square again. Because this square, I think the maths I did on this square before suggested this was at least a 4, but that might be wrong. What was I thinking when I did that maths? I think I was comparing this, yes, I was comparing this cage to this cage. Now these have to be 1 apart, but they have common purple in them. If you have common purple with another cage, you've got to look at those 2 digits which add up to 5 and say that this must be... Well, now I'm going to say, hang on, this must be, is this right? Is there a parity thing going on? Doesn't this have to be 4 or 6? Because, yeah, if that adds up to 5 and this has to be within 1, this cage overall has to be within 1 of this cage overall, I think this has to be 4 or 6. So it's definitely even. And it's got to take those squares. So we need a new colour now. And the colour, we'll go for blue. There's still a chance this region and this region are the same size. So we'll go for that and hope that we're reaching something sensible. Now purple, which is at least 9, now has to take that square and that square, because it can take 2 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's got to take those 2. And this is at least 4, so it has to go up. And this one at the bottom is... it's at least 4. Well, it's at least 4, but it's a maximum of 6, isn't it now? So it is 4, 5 or 6. I'm not sure. That's probably not a particularly brilliant deduction, but let's go with that. And But this one... Hang on. Hang on. Now I want that to be 5 by parity. I'm going crazy here. That's such a weird puzzle. Yeah, okay. That's right, isn't it? Because this one has bumped into this one, and this one can't be bigger than 6 by the geometry of the grid. This is a really clever puzzle. This, if we compare this cage and this cage, we've got common purplage. So this cell, which is an even 4 or 6, is within 1 of this square, which we know is 4, 5 or 6 by geometry. But it must be one difference, so it must be odd, and the only odd digit available is 5. Sorry, I want to write 5 in there. So this is all 5. That's 5. That's yellow. This is... Oh, hang on. I've gone to yellow. Everything's going yellow. This is all forced. This is forced. Don't know about the corner. The corner could be a 1, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's got to go up again at least. Because this is still minimumed. Well... I'm just thinking about the top of the grid here. There's not the most enormous amount of white space left. 10 at least of the white space at the top of the grid, so it could be that 10, has to join up with grey. I'm just wondering if there's sort of a packing constraint here. If all of those are grey and that's purple, how much have we got left to fill the rest of the grid? We don't know how big this is. That's got to be a new, but that could be very tiny. No, I don't know. I don't think that's a very sensible way of doing this, actually. The total number of cells in the grid is 49. Now, the interesting thing about that U pentomino is that must account for at least 15, mustn't it? 15 cells. So anything connected to this U pentomino is catering for at least 15 cells of the 49. But this doesn't touch the U pentomino. So that's at least another 9 on top. That's 24. This doesn't touch the U pentomino. That's another 4. What was that? What total am I up to now? 13, 28. Is that right? 28. 29. That doesn't touch anything. 29, and that is 42. So I've got 7 cells of extraness to cater for. 7 cells is all I can do here. Right, okay, so we can do something with that, I think. Maybe. Okay, so perhaps what we have to do here is to think about this domino. We know that neither of these squares is the 13, because this cell couldn't be only one different from this. So this domino doesn't have 13s in it. But this cage is one different from this minimum 13 clue. So the absolute minimum value of this cage is 12, which means the minimum value of these two squares is 9. Now, if blue doesn't bump into this domino, then this 9, however it's disposed, and it's at least 9, is 9 of extra fillomino regions. So say it was a 2 and a 7 or something. Though that 2 and that 7 have to go and collect white squares. But there isn't enough room. Because we just said... I can't remember what the maths was, but I think we said that was a number that was very much less than that available for our disposal. Let's just double check it. There's 15 minimum here. 15, that's another 5, 4 and 1. If we take the minimums, that's 20. 29, 42. It's taking all minimums, so there's 7. There's 7 of free space if we've minimised everything else. So you can't have those adding up to 9. Well, they add up to at least 9. We know they add up to at least 9, but they can't be new regions. There isn't enough room in the puzzle. And that means that this has to take that square. Now, that might be wrong. Because the other thought I'm just having is, could it loop over and do that, for example? It definitely has to have one of these. If it did that, then this would be at least 7. But we know, actually it would have to be bigger than that, wouldn't it? Because we couldn't leave a 1 here. It couldn't only be 7, because 7 plus 3 plus 1 is only 11, and we know this adds up to at least 12. So we could do that, and maybe that. So this would be at least 8. But if this is at least 8, doesn't it have knock-on consequences for everything else? I don't know, and you just need to let me think about this for a moment. So if this one doesn't take this square but takes this square, then this is at least 8. 8, and we know that the rest of the U pentomino adds up to 11. So this U pentomino adds up to at least 19. How much has that pushed up this one by? 19. The commonality here is 5. So this is at least 13. So we've got 19 and 13. Which is 32. I'm not sure whether those two have to change. Let's treat those the same. 37 and at least 13 is 50. It's too much. Right, so blue doesn't take this square. Blue takes this square. Oh, hang on. Now I've got a problem again. Well, hang on, because now don't I have an approximate value for this square? It's actually really interesting, this. It's a very weird puzzle, because now what I'm doing is I'm comparing my U pentomino with my triomino. And as far as I can see, I have common orange, I have common blue, and therefore this square, let's give it a colour. I'm running out of good colours. I'll make it light grey. Should really change the palette, actually. I haven't got my fluorescent green available. But this square has to have some relationship with these three, which add up to 8. So the minimum size of that is 7, the absolute minimum size. But hang on, how much grid have I now got? If I take minimums for everything, are we getting anywhere near 49? We might be. I thought I got 42 when I did the maths originally. This would be epic, because if that can't be bigger than 7, I think everything is forced. which would be an absolutely crazy way to finish. Let's just think about that again. Sorry, I know it's the third time or fourth time I've done this maths. Minimum there is 15, 20, 29, and yes, 7 and 13 is 49. That's it. That's the only way you can fill the puzzle, is with absolute minimums. Right, this is absolutely huge. So what we're saying is that this can't be 4 or 6, it must be 4, and it's finished, and it's done. Boom. This must be 9, and not only must it be 9, that can't be a spare region of size 1, because if it was, we found regions in the puzzle that would add up to at least 50, and there are only 49 squares. So this is all 9, that's purple, and we can fence it off. This one is of size 4, and that's because within the U pentomino we've already got 1, 2, 3 and 5, so we have to keep this to minimum because I only counted for 15 cells from my U pentomino. So that's finished, and that means this is a 4, and the whole of the rest of the top of the grid, let's just check. We've got 20, so we've got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes, so it's right. Right, okay, so this square must belong to this one. Because if this belonged to the, if that one here belonged to the 13, you'd have a crossing. Because these can't be in the same region, and the 7 would have to connect with that one, but it would have to cross the 13 to do it. So that must be part of the 7. So that goes something like that. That must be part of the 13. So the 13 has to go across there. These are all part of one region. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see. Look, and the 7 has to grow along there because that's the only place it's got to grow. So that goes like that. And the 13, it looks like it's too many cells. I'm going to double check this in a moment. Those all go in there. And we can fence it in like that and count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I probably missed a delineation somewhere. Let's see if it understands. Yay, correct. 8 people only have solved that. What? 61 days. I suppose it's quite an old puzzle. Wow. Wow. Oh, I wonder, I tell you what I wonder. If I put... See, I've put 13 in there. What if I put 1 in there? Does it still like it? No, then it somehow realises that it's wrong. Isn't that weird? So, does that mean maybe in the instructions we're going to have to... What if I put nothing in there? If I put no digits in there and then click tick, does it? It likes that. Yeah, that might be... We will have to think about how we deal with that. We might have to... Somehow it knows. Well, somehow it's fine with small numbers. But if I put a big wrong number in, it doesn't like it. Isn't that clever? But it is very clever. Oh, what if I put the wrong small number in? It's fine with that. Okay, so yeah, I don't know, because then if we put in the instructions that double-digit numbers. Then people will look out for double-digit numbers. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. These things are sent to try us. But fundamentally, let's go back to the puzzle. ZZW, that is absolutely fascinating. That was fascinating. It was very, very clever, the way that you could keep comparing. I think colouring was the best way to do this. It wasn't really with the red lines. It was colouring, because I could then compare the contents of adjacent cages very naturally, and I could see the relationships between them, and it's very smooth once you do that, and you just keep account of the total volume of the grid. It's really brilliant. it's just a brilliant puzzle. It was chill indeed. I feel chilled by its mere presence. Let me know if you had a go and how you got on. And I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.